So realistically, what are the percentage chances that Danny Röhl this time before Christmas might be in the Premier League, only with Southampton? We've got, of course, that question to pose for ours. Plus, we're looking back at the Oxford results. What a great win that was. Again, away from home. Just what is up with Windass, though? Is his attitude just a bit off? We'll check in with these guys on that in a minute. And does the Championship feel a bit flat this season? Generally, is football in a bit of a lull? We'll get these guys' views on that. Also, we appreciate your comments as well below on all things Danny Röhl, all things Oxford, and all things, of course, Wednesday. 20 minutes of Sheffield Wednesday chat every single week. Let's get straight into it then, Matt. When Tottenham went 5-0 up and Southampton sacked Russell Martin, did you fear that you're going to be facing a barrage of tweets on this Monday morning about your man?
Yes, absolutely, Mark. It's been the moment that every single Sheffield Wednesday fan has been dreading for a long while. I'll be honest, I didn't think it was going to be Southampton. I thought it would be another one of the clubs who are slightly more established. I thought when Wolves sacked, obviously, Gary O'Neill on Saturday night, Sunday morning, I was thinking, whoa, twitchy, but they have that Portuguese connection. And then obviously with the Southampton result, it was like the world was ending, like last night when you realised that he'd gone, and then you woke up this morning to an absolute barrage of, well, that's going to be one person. Like, it's a very worrying situation. I think the only saving grace is how bad a situation Southampton are in on the pitch. That is the only saving grace in this particular situation. But yeah, until Southampton make another managerial appointment that isn't Danny Röhl, I think every Wednesday fan will be sitting very nervously.
5-2 on Elf. Glyn with Carlos Coburn, David Moyes and Graham Potter. I mean, credit to him, he's in the conversation. James says Danny Röhl gets his chance at pulling off a miracle in the Premier League, and if it fails, he'll have one of the best squads in the Championship next season with one of the biggest budgets. He's most likely going to double or triple his wages. Who turns that down?
I mean, you can't argue with that statement, really, can you? And it's factually correct. I don't. If I'm honest, I don't think Danny's that guy. I think as money talks, doesn't it? And there's rumours out there that there's a 10, 15 million, 20 million pound compensation payment. That's nothing in today's world of football. They can write that off. You know, they just don't invest in half another player next season. So that's irrelevant. I'd like to think Danny's loyal. He's been talking about transfer windows, next transfer window, and the transfer window after that. And I don't know what, other than being at a Premier League club, and I know he spent a little bit of time there and stuff, but what have they actually got to offer, really? It is a Premier League club, but is like we just said, they are struggling, and if he goes there and he fails, at least at Hillsbury he is creating something. For me, I thought about it this morning, and it gives him an ace card, really, to approach Chansiri and say, look, if the job is there and it's on a plate for him, really. He's got the ace card up his sleeve to say, look, I need backing here in the January transfer window, or I'm gone. So it's an hard one. It'd be the worst thing ever. Me and Matt's been chatting today. I don't want to see Danny go. His best thing to happen at Wednesday for a very, very long time. He's built the fan base. He's built a structure. We've got a backbone. We've got an identity. This is just the beginning for me, so I really, really hope he doesn't leave.
Even if he went to Southampton, Matt, and kept them up, he would only be half as loved as he is with Sheffield Wednesday. He's not going to get loved anywhere else in any club more than he is in you guys, is he?
No, I don't think so, Mark. That is a big saving grace, and I think that is something that shouldn't be downplayed too much, because even in the depths and the pits of this time last year, where we were, God knows how many points adrift we were at this point last year. I try and forget it. his name was still being sung, and he had the backing of every single Sheffield Wednesday fan. I mean, I was at Oxford on Saturday, and we have created a Christmas theme song for Danny Röhl, like alongside his traditional sort of like Daddy Cool one. He will never have that connection. Again, I know a career is a long time in football, but I personally feel he will go a long way to ever having that type of a connection with the fan base again. My only worry is I'm really pleased that Glyn is half full on this, because I am very much sort of glass half empty on it. I look at it from the perspective of Southampton have every single thing that he craves from a football club. They have a budget, they have a fantastic infrastructure in terms of club setup and a club footballing identity, which they're flexible with, dependent on the coach who comes in. They have an outstanding, Premier League quality training ground. They don't have a conservatory. They've, every single thing. They'll have one of the strongest budgets in the Championship next year, because even if he goes in there, he's a miracle worker, but he ain't going to save them. Like that is a bridge too far. It's not only that, it's the fact that there's a high likelihood if he were to go there, and this is all ifs and buts. I mean, he recalls Shea Charles, who's currently our best player as well, immediately on his first day. Like, they might as well just share the same car down, honestly. But yeah, I mean, it is a real worry. There is a lot of rumours flying around at the minute. I know West Brom fans are very twitchy about Corberan going as well, and they're a lot more split than I would suggest every Sheffield Wednesday fan on it. Glyn is right though. This may well force the chairman's hand in terms of Danny Röhl. I think it was 2 weeks ago, came out and was very critical of the club's ambitions not matching his own. I think that's because he realised, and I know we're going to come on to talk about the Championship being flat in a little bit, the division is wide open this year, aside from the top two. If you were to give Danny Röhl even a relatively sizable war chest of, say, £10 million in the January window, there is a good chance that you have a run and a tilt at that top six. We're 5 points off it currently. Personally, I look at it and think we're 21 points away from safety. But that's just kind of my reading of the situation. But at the end of the day, this sounds horrible. It's a nominal fee that they're going to have to pay for us to get him out of a contract. Yes, it is complicated, and our chairman will play hardball, but he will ultimately accept the money. I think in the signing of his new deal in the summer, that meant that there was a reduction in the compensation agreement that we also were requesting from any potential club. I think that was at Danny Röhl's request rather than the club. Sitting very nervously, as I said, Mark, sitting very nervously until Southampton appoint their next manager.
Yeah, I mean, there's Southampton fans that say, no, well, he knows the club. I mean, he doesn't really, does he? Because he was there that long, and it's 2019, and, so much has happened since then. So, we don't buy that. Well, fingers crossed, obviously, even the neutrals don't want, because Glyn, you hit the nail on the head. He's the best thing to have happened to Wednesday in so many years. Yeah. How many crap managers have you had to sit and watch? Yeah.
For me though, Mark, it screams. Forget all the everything that's going on. Surely it should prick Chansiri's ears up, thinking, I've got a manager that's in demand here. Even looking back to when Liverpool were without a manager, Danny Röhl's name was in. It was a ranked massive outsider, like 147 to 1 or something crazy. But the fact that he was actually in the list tells you everything that you need to know about the guy. Back him.
Yeah. Watch this space. We may be getting you two back in a couple of days. In tears.
Christmas trees coming down. You can take them jumpers off the lot.
Yeah.
Yes, not a very Merry Christmas for any Owls fans. Right, let's talk about Oxford then, shall we? I'll tell you what, you should just go a goal down every away game, shouldn't you, Matt? And that's the way that it goes. Walk us through this one, and then we'll talk about Windass in a minute, because people. I'll tell
you what, Mark. If you are looking for an absolute banker every single week, it is Sheffield Wednesday to concede, because at some point we will concede, and it's usually first. So yeah, if anybody is looking to make a couple of quid before Christmas, that is your bet to put on for the weekend. Ultimately, the first half was a basketball game. It was two sides who were very, very attacking. I was actually very impressed by Oxford in the first half. The goal for them comes from, again, our inability to defend set pieces, which I know we've covered to death on here, Mark. It was the first clearance is made, but it's the second ball. We then hell froze over for a moment because we did score from a corner. But again, it's appalling marking from an Oxford perspective. It's a great finish from Josh Windass, who kind of watches the ball onto his foot. Wednesday come out after half time, and we've watched a number of times this year, namely at home. I'm thinking the Watford game where a side starts really quickly and we don't. We kept the ball for 5 minutes. Oxford gave us the ball and then they didn't see it for 5 minutes until they were kicking off and it was 2-1. Very smart finish from Jamal Lowe, but I suppose that's what happens when you have 4 players in the box when you're crossing the ball, which we don't do very regularly. We then controlled the game. Oxford looked a little bit shell-shocked to be coming out and find themselves, a goal down. It's so early on in the second half. And then there's a really fantastic bit of interchange from Jamal Lowe playing the ball out wide. Deshaun Bernard wins the header. It then gets played to Bannon, who finds Smith, who tees up Gassama. Jenny Gassama only scores worldies. He can't score tap-ins, but he can score first-time bangers from outside the box. I've seen a couple of media outlets suggesting that the keeper should have done better. No chance. It starts outside the post and bends round. It's a great finish. And then we did something that we haven't been great at doing in terms of we shut up shop and managed the game really, really well. And we looked still the more threatening to score. Realistically, could have been 4 or 5. I thought it was an incredibly harsh decision by Oxford as a result on the back of that to sack Des Buckingham. I know it's a 15-game period, but ultimately you're looking at the budget and the players that Oxford brought in. I thought it was incredibly harsh. We were good. We are good away from home. That's I think our 4th win in 5 away from home recently. So yeah, a really, really good afternoon. Nice little setup going into this Christmas period.
Really well gone through. You've not left me with any questions there, Matt. apart from one. Kerem SWF says, "Can someone tell me what's wrong with Windass's attitude? Fair play enough today. He didn't deserve to get subbed. Just shut up and sit down for what's sake." Glenn, did you pick up on that as well?
We're all Twitter football managers, aren't we? But Danny plays a long game, doesn't he? He rests players wherever he possibly can. We're comfortable in the game. Josh is never happy to come off the pitch. He wants when he's. I've seen him at Hillsborough kicking water bottles and throwing towels and ripping his shirt off. And I like that in a way. It shows passion, and I've heard it said time and time again that we wish Josh were as good as what he thinks he is, and he's one of our better players. And on his days, he's by far the best player that we've got. So. And he knows that, and he knows that he can change a game on within 30 seconds if he turns it on. So I like that. I like the passion. It's probably not what Danny wants to see. Danny wants everyone rowing in the same direction. So I understand the logic behind it. The rest, keep all the players. Let's keep a full squad going into the New Year period. See what happens in January. Let's not see what happens in this next week. Fingers crossed. And yeah, keep the squad, and hopefully see the full season out. This touch wood. This season we've been okay for injuries so far, and I think that's that massively down to Danny Röhl's kind of game management as well. So yeah, it is what it is. He don't like being sub, but it's good to see the passion.
Okay. If you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, you know what to do. Please do so. Press the button down there. We'd love to get to 100 subscribers before Christmas. If you can help us out with that, that would be huge. We're nearly there. Thank you for all the love we've been getting. This week, we're focusing very much on a bit of a negative as well, but generally football is feeling a little bit flat at the moment. There's lots of reasons that people are saying the Championship just hasn't sparked into life yet. It's the greatest league in the world. We know that. But something doesn't feel quite as exciting as it has in previous seasons. Whether that's because we haven't got an Ipswich this season doing what they were doing, who knows? But Glyn, what's your take on this? Is there a problem with football in general? Is it the Championship? What's your take?
Have you been to Hillsborough recently, or?
Well, yeah, last week's video. Go and watch that one. This is a general one.
No, yeah, I think potentially, I think we're seeing a lot less people going to games as there's more games now shown on TV on the red button and streaming services and stuff like that. So I think less people are inclined to go. The kickoff times are not helping. The price of things are not helping. The some of the away games are crazy midweek, massive journeys. So I think that has a massive knock-on effect to the overall atmospheres, in within grounds. I don't think it's just the championship either. I mean, League One's terrible for atmospheres anyway, isn't it? But some of the Premier League games that you're watching they seem really dead as well. But it's a shame, really, isn't it? Because once upon a time, and Hillsborough, we've said it loads and loads of times before, that the band used to be banging away, and back in the Carlos era, the place was absolutely rocking, and that weren't too long ago, So yeah, I do think the championship is definitely a little bit flat at the moment, but I think television's got a lot to do with that.
Yeah. People say, Matt, we haven't had any, decent games. Well, you can count on one hand probably how many exciting games that we've had to watch. What do you say about it?
Long and the short of it is I think there's too much football on TV, and there has been since the lockdown period, where obviously games were moved to almost a game a day. Don't get me wrong, I love football as much as anybody else. Like, I will watch it every single day. Like, I'm watching an arbitrary Premier League game tonight on Monday as we record, just because it's a game of football. But I do think I agree with a lot of the points that Glyn touched on. It is right, there is too much football on TV at the minute. The new television deal has been okay financially for the Championship clubs and the League One clubs from a cash injection perspective, but it has made a huge difference to atmospheres, because obviously the kickoff time, Sheffield Wednesday, I think, have had one 3 o'clock game at home. I think it's like 6 games at home. One of them is a 3 o'clock game. Please don't quote me on that. I could be wrong, but I know it's a large number. That does have an impact on the atmosphere. It just does, because I think people haven't had the opportunity to, and I'm not saying everybody does this. Those who do get a bit more boisterous at games, they haven't had the opportunity to have a skinful pre that. Well, I mean, I suppose if you are, you're having that with a bowl of cornflakes, which might be a bit much. I also think that then sees a dwindling in numbers of away fans as well. Like you were speaking to Middlesbrough fans, obviously, and you're talking about a horrendous trip from one end of the country to the other. And they will do that, but again, there's very little sort of little thought for actually those fans. I dread to think what it would be like in the Premier League for somebody who goes home and away with Sheffield Wednesday. Genuinely, I'd probably have to quit my job because I couldn't go to the games. Like a Monday night game up at, say for argument's sake, the team that you support, Everton, couldn't go because I won't be able to get there, and that will see a dwindling of numbers. Yes, I think the atmosphere is flat, but I mean, the last point that I would like to raise on this is I think as fans, because we consume so much of our football content through social media now, everything is sensationalized, and unless it is a 3-2 or a 3-3 or a 4-3 thriller, you think the game's been terrible because that is the 60-second clip that Sky Sports or the EFL or whoever will put out. The EFL put out the Jenny Gassama goal. It's a 25-second clip. It's a worldie. Actually, the first half was more entertaining than that goal. From an actual game watching standpoint, I just think, the way in which that we consume football we're oversaturated, and it's very different. And I think people then have expectations of, well, every game has to be really high entertaining and all the rest of it. I'll be honest with you, Mark, I'd take draws and wins all the way through till the end of the season, and they could be boring as anything, and I will still be happy.
I think the football has changed. You're right, Matt. I think the football has changed as well, hasn't it? Once upon a time you turn up and it were attack, and it'd be end to end, wouldn't it? And it's not like that anymore.
No.
Teams are playing it out from the back and spending 25 minutes in their own half. It's. I think that kills the atmosphere as well, doesn't it?
Well, that's it, Glenn. Everybody says that they want a possession-based Guardiola-style football until it actually arrives at their doorstep. Then they can't get into it and they can't get involved because it's not that exciting to actually sit and watch.
No.
Yeah. Agreed, 100%. Thank you very much, both of you. A big week for Wednesday. You feel coming up. Let's see if we can get. Let's see if we can get to the weekend with Danny, with Danny still intact, and Southampton go and find somewhere else. Just a quick word on Stoke City before I let you go. they're in free fall. They're possibly about to set their manager as well. It hasn't quite worked. You need a home win here, don't we? The last one was Preston, and Preston should have won that. And then we've had the Watford. We need it just by hook or by crook. You need just a scruffiest 1-0 win, don't we? Just
Mark, let me stop you there. You said 1-0. It won't be 1-0. Stoke will score. I don't care. I don't care what situation you are talking about. I don't care how bad Stoke are. I don't care how good Danny Röhl's managerial record has been at getting managers the sack. He's done 5 of them so far. May add another one on Saturday. Stoke will score, guaranteed, and more than likely first. We do need a result at home. I think the performance is more important because, as you know, as a fan who goes to a lot of the away games, I come back and talk about, like, when I'm sat around people at Hillsborough who don't go, oh my God, it was so good at Dart. Oh, we were brilliant away at Oxford. And then you sit and watch a very dreary mess in front of you. So I think a performance would, on the back of you then going into 2 back-to-back away games, Middlesbrough and Preston, a good home performance and a win would go a long way. There is no better opportunity to get that than Stoke, obviously, on Saturday.
Absolutely. Yeah. Good luck against Stoke then. We'll catch you next week for the last one before Christmas, where we're also hosting next week the 2024 awards of the year. So get thinking about the best goal, the best matches, etc. We'll do that next week. Join us for that. Thank you very much for subscribing and have a great week. Enjoy the Stoke game.